To better understand the idea of globalization, let's take a look at Kodak, the company who was once the world's largest producer of photographic film, who employed hundreds of thousands of workers. However, what happened over time as digital cameras became popular, so the film industry began to change. Kodak ended up being pretty unsuccessful. They failed to adapt to this change in film usage, and so they ended up having to lay off many of their workers, and as a result, the buildings that they occupied were replaced by new firms. We'd like to ask the question if this is good or is it bad, and it really depends. There's no straightforward answer to whether or not globalization is good or bad. It's really just good for some and bad for others. So what we can conclude here is that this globalization in this sense is good for these new firms and their employees. It would also be good for the consumers of these digital films. However, it would be bad for those employees who were laid off. It would also probably be bad for any shareholders of Kodak. But if you were to balance these out, it would be a really tough one to try to come to the conclusion of which is worse or which is better. So it's really difficult to conclude whether or not globalization is good or bad. It probably falls somewhere in the middle, and it really just depends on which side here you fall and which opinion you might have on this particular example.